we're really honored to have you all here. This is a wonderful opportunity for me to share not only the harvest, but my room and my garden with a lot of people that I really respect and appreciate. And we appreciate what you've done by putting all of these different seeds in the ground for us. The idea of today was to follow carrots from the seed to the plate. And I planned this, as many of you know, back last fall. I put a note in the mail to 6 chefs and asked them to share it with the farmers that they work with. And the people that agreed are represented today. So we had a good yield in that regard. And the seed, I was reading the seed packet. It said 64 days. So in my view, I distributed the packet 75 days before today. So on approximately August 10th, the seeds were distributed. You can see from my seeds, or my carrots, that my yield was smaller than the farmers, and that's another thing that I was hoping to illustrate today, is there's a difference between a gardener who's working a small piece of soil, getting 2 or 3 different crops out of that soil in one season, to a farmer.
We sow the first carrots in mid-April, and then we plant every 2 to 3 weeks through July. And then the most important carrot planting of the year are the ones that I sow in the first week in August, because those are the ones that will be part of our winter share, and we store in the root cellar to last throughout the winter. Specifically, we probably grow 10 to 15 varieties every year. We look for new varieties that will have great taste or great storability, and we come back and plant the same ones that have done well in the previous years. So I love the one called Bolero, which is the one that I've grown this year for the carrot tasting. A good cover crop, which will include a grain such as oats or rye with a legume. We like something called Austrian winter peas. It's very important to get the ground ready, planted in the autumn of the previous year. Then we open up the ground with what's called a chisel plow, and we use a disc harrow to even it out. And then before finally planting the actual seed, we use something called a perfector harrow. And the important thing is that we've retained the soil structure. The soil is in a shape where it has good friability is the word that is used. So it's sort of crumbly, and at the same time has been loosened up so that there's a depth for the carrots to grow down. So harvesting carrots, for many years when we were growing hundreds of pounds, we would harvest them with a fork or something called a broad fork, which has 2 handles and many tines, and you go deep and you sort of lift the carrots up like that. But now we've advanced, since we're growing maybe 3,000 pounds of carrots for our winter share, and we use a tractor with an implement which is called a drawbar. We drop down the drawbar, it goes underneath the carrots and sort of lifts the soil up, and then we come and just pick them up like this.
They're one of the first things you can germinate nice and early in the spring. So really, I usually plant them right after the spinach, if possible, in late April, but sometimes I have to wait till the end of May, weather dependent. If things look really good before that, I always plant some in the high tunnel, meaning that high tunnel being one of the enclosed greenhouses where you grow right in the ground. And those are usually my first harvest, which I only sell to farm stands, to my own farm stand. And those can be ready by Memorial Day if I get them in the ground really early, like maybe January. When I go to choose my seeds, I sort of stick with sort of a core group. So I use the rainbow variety from Johnny's seed, and then into that I throw some other colors and some other standards, and I just find that gives it, that just makes them that much livelier. I also grow just some straight orange carrots, and those were the control today anyway. So that way, if I have more than one variety, you can almost always assume you're going to have a carrot during the summer. multiple plantings. Every 2 to 3 weeks I'm planting carrots. Specifically, carrots are a very versatile vegetable that you can keep in the ground even long after hard frost. They just get sweeter. I've actually pulled carrots out of completely frozen ground, and they're wonderfully dynamic. The ones you don't harvest make great food for the little things that crawl around that the hawks eat. They're really good, really good. So I raise more carrots. I raise a lot for human consumption, but I know in the fall it's pretty much feeding the scavengers, which is good, important. I'm a bird watcher, so I want the hawks.
My carrot schedule is as early in the spring as possible, usually around the 10th of April, when the soil is dry enough to till it and to get a fine seed bed, because carrot seed is very small. You need to have a pretty fine seed bed, and the soil can't be too wet when you plant. And I start off planting fairly shallow. The first planting of maybe about 5 or 6 different varieties in 5-row beds that are 12 inches apart and maybe about 200 feet long. Those carrots will germinate very slowly. It may be 15 to 20 days before you start to see them emerging in the little rows that they're planted in. Sometimes I sow them at the ends of the rows and have a little patch of carrots, because they kind of help each other break through the soil, because sometimes it gets a crust on it when you get a heavy rain. And sometimes it's such a heavy crust that the little seedlings, the little germinated seeds can't come through, so then you have to replant as soon as possible. But generally in the spring I wait about another 4 weeks, about a month, to plant the second planting. And it's the same thing, but this will be more around the middle of May. Second planting basically is the same as the first. There's 4, 5, 6 varieties maybe, and 5-row bed, maybe 150 or 200 feet long. Specifically, carrots are an umbel in that family of plants.
Preparing a carrot bed can change according to the soil type. So what you're looking for is to first determine your soil type, and then your pH test, and that would pretty much determine what goes into that soil. But a soil bed, pretty much the number one rule is free of rocks, free of any debris, and light and fluffy is the optimal type of soil type for that. Weeding carrots, well, I'm a type of farmer who doesn't have many toys, so I let weeds compete with the carrot, and then I would determine after a few weeks of both of them growing who wins and who doesn't. So the best weed to have with a carrot, I would say, would be a purslane carrot, which is a shallow rooted crop, and that could actually help cool the soil while the carrots are growing, compared to kind of letting a crabgrass grow in there or some other invasive type of weedy grass. Well, harvesting carrots is the fun part. You just take a simple fork, garden fork, and you just start lifting up. And that's probably the most exciting part about harvesting carrots. It's just that bounty right there at the bottom of your garden fork.
So the focus was on carrots. Words like friability, germination, versatility. Points like sweetness from the cool fall air, umbel, the name of the carrot family, and weeding or not. These are the points that we're making in this video to bring the professional and the novice up to speed on this season's carrot project. Chris Polidoro brought us wonderful Bolero carrot gyoza. The carrots were farmed by Scott Chasky at Quail Hill.
Yeah, she's from Holland, and she's Dutch, and when I told her about doing this, she was asking me if I was going to do a hodgepodge, which is like a carrot and potato puree with some braised beef, and yeah, the carrots, they love to eat them raw, kind of like a julienne salad. I have like a bunch of different dressings, which I kind of keep on playing on and changing it up for them as well, and they have a little bunny rabbit, and I give them carrots that I get out of the garden as well. I don't hand thin them, as Scott was saying earlier. I kind of let them go, and as I'm harvesting them, that creates kind of like the hand thinning process to allow space, and then you get larger ones later on in the year if they've been growing longer, or smaller ones in the beginning of the year. And then from that, just taking it for what it is and putting it into the dish and how it comes out.
Joe Realmuto and Brian Futterman brought us an heirloom carrot and harissa salad from Nick and Tony's.
My general thoughts on carrots include childhood, just general everyday cooking because it's part of our mise en place every day. Garden at Nick and Tony's restaurant because it's one of the staple things that we grow there. It flourishes really well. And just a good everyday healthy snack is kind of what reminds me of my childhood with that. When I prepare carrots, depending on what type of carrots they are, I will prepare them in different ways. Big horse carrots that I'm using for stock or general cooking, I will just wash and cut them and leave the skin on because I feel a lot of the nutrients are actually in the skin. Baby carrots, I will also just wash, but if I'm using larger carrots for a crudité or I need a certain type of presentation, then I will peel it. Specifically, carrots are a staple to pretty much everything we do. You're using soups, stocks, every kind of crudité platter we use, and just part of everyday mirepoix. In the kitchen, that's kind of your right hand when cooking.
In my kitchen, my mirepoix is prepared without celery. At Nick and Tony's, we don't use celery, we use fennel. So we use lots of carrots, onions, and fennel, and that is what we use for mirepoix at the restaurant.
The last time I peeled carrots was this morning. I do it every single day for mirepoix. I do it every day for multiple prep items that I use.
Our neighbors at the Topping Rose House sent their pastry chef, Cassandra Shupp, who shared a beautiful carrot cake.
My general thoughts on carrots include they're moist. Actually, using it in pastry, it kind of gives an added moisture to the cakes, and they're delicious.
Todd Jacobs from Fresh in Bridgehampton brought us carrot fritters served warm with a yogurt dipping sauce.
Specifically, carrots are such an important part of many of the sauces that we make. One sauce in particular, which we serve with our flounder, is a reduction of organic carrot juice. And I always tell people that organic carrots, for anyone who doesn't believe in organic vegetables, to have them taste an organic carrot next to a conventional carrot and see what the difference really is. In preparing carrots, I generally peel them, except when I'm dealing with baby carrots. When I use those, I just give them a really good scrubbing. But larger carrots I peel.
From my kitchen at Estia's Little Kitchen, McGregor's Savory Fall Garden Pie, a take on shepherd's pie featuring braised rabbit, mashed potatoes, and floating baby carrots.
When preparing my carrots, I like to use them with the skin on. I think you get more flavor out of them. I always strain them if I need to, but I love it. I love using the whole vegetable. I don't like to take away from it because you took the time to grow it, so why not use it all?
I remember when I first noticed a batch of Marilee Foster, specifically her carrots came in, and they weren't just orange, they were yellow and white and purple and little and tender and amazing.
Today, sitting with these farmers and chefs, I've been reminded of the incredible diversity in the carrot world and in the carrot landscape. We sometimes take it for granted now, with a rainbow of different beets and a rainbow of colors of cauliflower and even a rainbow of potato colors, that we can get an incredible diversity of something as commonplace as a carrot. But something that's special about carrots and other root crops is we can actually leave them in the ground for months, and so in December and January and February, when we don't have as much to eat, they're always there waiting for us when we need some vegetable to add to the pot.
And again, thank you for coming, and I would also like to thank the Macari Vineyard and the Southampton Public House for the donations that they've made to support the event today.